Everyone, my name is Brojesh Mukherjee. I think the question is how independent are we after 75 years? Perhaps the issue is about the degree of civil liberty in the current dispensation of Indian democracy, empowered by its constitution and underpinned by the four major pillars. But do we really have the freedom we deserve? If not, what's going fundamentally wrong with our fundamental rights? Some of the best minds drafted the Constitution of India with utmost care. The living document is perfect in letter and spirit, but is there any difference between theory and practice? If not, should we believe in the infamous doctrine that stated, democracy is beautiful in theory, but in practice it's a fallacy? The preamble of our constitution starts with, "We the people of India," putting people at the core. The distinguished composer Dr. Ambedkar saw fundamental rights as a way of life with liberty, equality, and fraternity as concepts that cannot be divorced from each other. But what is happening in reality? I do not have an iota of disrespect for our much revered constitution, but for the sake of this discussion, it need not be sacrosanct. Let me give you an example. We protested and sacrificed our lives at the Jallianwala Bagh. We protested against the Rowlatt Act, which is nothing but anticipatory detention. The act was repealed in 1922 amidst fierce protests. But don't we, even after 75 years of independence, have such similar provisions that allows detention of anyone, literally anybody, without a court trial? How is it that a draconian act under the British era suddenly becomes so people-oriented after independence? Let me give you another example of the relics of colonial legacy. An act of 1870, labeled as obnoxious by India's first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, is still being used to curb any disaffection against the government. The legislation keeps the critics at bay, puts a lid to the freedom of press, and has the potential to quieten any political disquiet. I am not suggesting to strike it down lock, stock, and barrel, but the pernicious portions can surely be amended. In my humble opinion, how can democracy survive without dissent? The Constitution provides us with many fundamental rights, such as right to equality, right to liberty, right against exploitation, right to constitutional remedies, so on and so forth. But are they really applicable irrespective of a person's status or situation? Then why did Gauri Lankesh have to sacrifice her life for criticizing religious extremism? Why do rationalists like Govit Pansare have to die? Talking about the right to justice, how can we justify the fate of Father Stan Swami? I think the Constitution provides us with the best set of fundamental rights. But if in order to establish its hegemony, the state behaves like a superstate, and the citizens' space gets increasingly constricted, the spirit of democracy dies an undignified death. India ranked an abysmal 69th out of 128 countries in the World Rule of Law Index. Notwithstanding our fundamental duties to abide by the Constitution, perhaps it is not unfair to see the Constitution as a contract between the people and the government. The government will protect our fundamental rights. The people should obey by the laws of the land. But those laws must be fair, reasonable, just, and non-arbitrary. But if the extrajudicial means are fueled through inflammatory chants like Thok Do or Goli Maro, citizens cannot be expected to be quiet like winter catfish. Socrates had to drink hemlock in obedience. Centuries later, Gandhiji didn't. Thank you.